So,
well, you were talking about my take on the Sino-Soviet alliance during the Cold War and after the Cold War. You were mentioning how uh, Ukraine, because of the conflict in Ukraine, Russia, and China were even being drawn close together. You seem to also bring up the idea, you didn't seem to endorse or oppose it, about splitting Russia and China apart. And then you're basically saying the point of view that I was propounding was interesting. And it's almost like you have the view that in some cases foreign policy is very ideological, but on other times transactional, which I happen to agree with. I don't think foreign policy, I agree, is set in just purely ideological or purely transactional or purely realist.
all right.
I hope that was a good recap.
Yeah. Are you recording now or?
Yes, I'm recording.
All right. So where I ended, where I died, I think we were hacked by the Chinese or the Russians.
Probably.
Yeah, I guess the part that cut out is that while I understand the theoretical argument for saying that we need to split Russia and China if we're not able to battle China in full capacity in a 1v1 situation, I also sometimes ask myself, and how the hell are we going to do that? Because, of course, of the ideological factors involved, but also the fact that we pushed them not necessarily together, but we pushed them against us, which in effect yields closer cooperation between the two. Although again, they have their own interests, their nation, their countries, like every other. So I have no idea how exactly people that propose splitting them imagine. What I do see and do think that is something that we should start approaching. And I know a lot of people don't like this because they have this view of alliances as if they were like human friendships, in which like we're all friends and you have to be nice to your friends, because then if you're not nice to your friends, then one day they're going to be mean to you. That's not how it works. I think we should be able to tell Europe, like Trump, did, very publicly, hey guys, catch up. Hey guys, start investing seriously in your military capacities. Hey guys, take the forefront, and more than the forefront, the full front, to some degree, with Russia and Ukraine. If you're not gonna join us, full on our Indo-Pacific strategy, because we do start to see countries like France with Emmanuel Macron very publicly saying, we're not going to be a vassal state to the US. We stand in the middle. But then they look at the US and they say, hey, you got to help us on Ukraine. Hey, come here. Hey, do this. Hey, do that. If you don't, you're a fascist. And when I see that, I ask myself, I don't know if like Venezuela invaded Guyana, or if Mexico invaded the US or something. Do you think the French would send in their troops here under the government of Emmanuel Macron? I doubt. So we gotta start pushing our friends, and we can do that. I don't know why people think we can't. We can do that if we don't push our friends in the Indo-Pacific and in Europe and in the rest of the world to become stronger actors in their own realms, and this includes Israel as well. Like, if our strategy is to be less hyper fixated on the Middle East, and I know a lot of people will have their, oh, but Israel's bad, but Israel's whatever. But if you look at it through a sole power, power politics picture, if Israel is already such a strong power in that area of the world, if the Saudis, don't pose a threat to the US, maybe we should let them take the forefront there and have an advising role. And maybe if if it becomes if the situation becomes one when they might draw us into a conflict, we can be like, hey guys, calm down a little or something like that. But in general, the general trend should be one of having our regional partners take stronger roles, or if they expect us to be with them fully, we need to start using some compellence. We need to start forcing them, maybe, because the Chinese do this, forcing them to join us in our other national security priorities. Because if we're going to be the top dog on their national security concerns, maybe they should at least be dogs in our fights.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the many things I appreciated about Donald Trump in 2015 and 2016. And even when he was at, I think it was a G8 or NATO meeting, where he openly complained about, and he was the first president that ever did this, ever since the dawn of the Cold War. And he said, look to Germany, he's like, come on, you guys are pumping gas to Russia. And you're all worried about the Russian threat. He's referring to the Nord Stream pipelines. And he was correct. Whether he did enough or didn't do enough or whatever, he was technically correct. There's a lot of sanctions busting by certain European countries, Germany at the top of the list, towards Russia. I mean, yes, I laud Germany for supplying the Leopard tanks and everything else to Ukraine, but they're doing that. And that's where the former president, now president-elect, he's right about that. And now Europe is, I'm sure you know, they're all like up in arms and saying, oh my God, NATO's going to collapse. You know what, we got to pay for our own defense and we got to like supply our own weapons and things like that. I'm like, yes, you're correct. I want you guys to succeed.
Yeah.
Look, and my approach, Trump, with any of the candidates, I don't care. If you do something right and you do something that makes sense, from my standpoint at least, I'll support you. Whether I voted you or not, it's immaterial. If Mr. Trump called me up and say, hey, Nevin, I mean, that's unlikely, but hey, Nevin, you want to come to the White House and treat you to McDonald's? I'd be like, I'll treat you to dinner. Better food. And I do the same with Kamala, just to be transpartisan or nonpartisan. Either one called me up and said, hey, look, you want to come and give your expertise? Fine, I'll do it. If it enhances the country, put aside whatever political and other disagreements I have about issues, or you might be a complete dirtbag or whatever. If it's going to help the country in the long run, I'm not going to say no. Same thing with policies and commentary. And Trump was right about that with the alliances. And I used to be more neoconservative. I've moved away from that because of what happened in Iraq, the trillions, and the dollars, and the deaths of Afghans and Americans and coalition partners in Iraq and Afghanistan, the withdrawal from Afghanistan, now it's back in the hands of the Taliban. I've become very skeptical in nation building. It's not to say we shouldn't support a degree of liberalism and capitalism abroad, but I think we have to have serious discussions about also dialing certain commitments back to as well, and really focus those trillions. What is the total for the total Iraq and Afghan war? Like $9 trillion, you probably know. That's a lot of money that could be spent on missile defense, reindustrialization credits, civil defense, all kinds of programs, enhancing our nuclear warhead life, things of that nature. Personally, I don't have an itchy trigger finger. If I were president, a part of me is very, I don't want to say hesitant or reticent about committing American troops, because you're committing American lives and disrupting families. So it'd have to be a pretty darn good reason. It's kind of like Teddy Roosevelt. Walk softly, but damn it, I am going to carry a big stick. I don't want to use it, but I will use it if you directly F with the United States.
A huge stick. A huge
Yeah.
stick.
Yeah. So maybe an iron crowbar. So that's it. It's kind of like, you're with your family, or you, God willing, you'll have children, you have a girlfriend or whatever. I mean, if somebody's like wailing on her, let's say, or wailing on your kid, but you can fight the person or not. You're going to adrenaline's be like, yeah, I'm going to beat your ass and try and pull the person off so the other person can run. That's how it is. It comes back to a lot of personal relationships, and you kind of pointed that out earlier in the show too, as well. And in other interviews, I noticed you try to make it real with people, and I appreciate that. So, but I know it's been a long, long show. I hope I didn't burn your brain too much. I think
I think we burned our brains simultaneously because we were both into the conversation, which is a good thing. I think our biological necessities won against our intellectual curiosities.
so. I'm going to humanize it a little bit. I've never asked this question. So before you give a talk about where people can find your works, your social media, videos, future aspirations, what do you like to do for fun? Politics and history, and I see all those books.
Oh man, that's a question because for the last 5 months I've really done nothing else.
Well, before the 5 months.
I've just been doing like media and then school and work, and I'm also trying to find like a different job and stuff. But I think that of course, writing, broadly speaking, my interest in writing didn't start as like political writing. It started as like writing silly poetry when I was a kid, which sucks.
Oh, oh, cool.
15, I had like a little blog, and I would just write about my thoughts. Um, I like psychology, so that's like another field. No expert in any way, but some people like horoscopes. I like reading about like Myers-Briggs and reading a little bit about like psychological concepts and what they mean. And I guess like I used to be into soccer, very, Latinx of me.
Football. Football.
Yeah, I used to play too, but that kind of stopped um, in the middle of high school. I continued to, watch the games and stuff. I never played video games, which I guess makes me kind of weird. Of course, I played some, I played Fortnite and all that, but I was never like a video game bro. I love film. I wish I had more time to watch more TV. I haven't watched TV. I guess this doesn't count, but like, I go to my friend's house and they're watching something and I kind of watch with them. But I haven't watched something by myself in like at least 4 months, which is annoying because I used to watch, cool movies.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess those are my big interests. Yeah. I guess everyone else, I'm into food.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
What about you?
Me,
What are your
yeah, believe it or not, what I put above politics hobby-wise is physical fitness. Like, lifting my weights, my chin-up bar, doing stuff like that, and doing my walking. I love stand-up paddleboarding. I own a stand-up paddleboard. I've been doing that since July of 2021. I like all kinds of things. I started to get into. I'm progressively getting better with each lesson and time I'm out in Biscayne Bay. Not telling anybody where I do because they'll probably some enraged commie or Nazi will try and kill me. Um, so I like going to do the windsurfing and getting better and better little by little. It's a hard sport. I just recently bought a used windsurfing equipment and stuff like that for like $350. Got him from $400. Got him to drop it a little to $350. And no, I like traveling. I love traveling. That's a new thing that I started to get into, especially with my girlfriend. Um, I I like eating food, but primarily from around the world. I like good American fare, don't get me wrong, but I love food from other countries. Sushi, food from like Peru, Colombia, Cuba.
Peruvian food is top tier. I love Peruvian food.
What's some of your favorite dishes from Peru that you like?
Jalea. Um, there's this Peruvian restaurant close to where I live, and I at the beginning I didn't love it because my dad loved it and he went too much. But then I would come to Washington and there's like some Peruvian food here, but it's not as good as that one. And I just started missing it. So like every time I visit my dad, I'm like, please let's go get some Peruvian food. It's good.
Yeah, I love ceviche, sandwich, chicharron. I like the papa huancaína, all that food. Lucuma, the torta or bizcocho, it depends, I guess, which country you're from. Lucuma or the lucuma cake and lucuma ice cream, helado. Excellent, excellent. I
I've
also
never
get
heard.
I get also the beers. Now, Sam Adams is my favorite beer from America, but I like Colombian and Peruvian beer. Aguila, Pilsen, uh, Cusqueña, very good beers. I like Chicha Morada, which is an excellent drink. It looks like grape juice, but it's made of actually purple corn from Peru. I will say Venezuelan and Colombian empanadas are the best and the healthiest compared to Dominican and Cuban empanadas. Now I'm not hating on the Cuban and Dominican empanadas. So, hey, any Dominicans out there, don't get pissed at me. But
I am. They suck.
all right, all right. So I'll let you get away with that. But I like the Venezuelan and Colombian empanadas. They're, of course, being corn based and made of corn. So that's the best. Really good. Um, and the Venezuelan arepas, there's a good place off of Wiles Road, all the way western part of Coral Springs, that serves really good Venezuelan arepa style sandwiches. It's kind of like a coffee shop too, but it's so good.
Is it a
Uh,
pana?
I forget the name of it. I haven't been there in a while. I went there with my girlfriend once, but I was introduced to it by a different person back in late 2019. But anyways, yeah. So I love food from all over the world: Japanese, Korean. That's like my go-to stuff. Good Cuban sandwich. Half the time, it's just usually like sushi, Peruvian, Colombian, Venezuelan, Cuban food. Korean food. Sometimes that's what I get to get my satisfy my cravings, I guess. And I like doing that. So I have kind of a multicultural side. I was talking with a friend of mine who I like to dub my favorite Democrat, a man by the name of Ira, who's on the board of the Friends of Our Library. And he's like, Ira, sometimes I feel like I'm a contradiction. Here I like all these foods and appreciate other cultures, girlfriends from different countries, Latin America and Hispanic Caribbean. And yet I'm all about like, hey, let's bring back American industry. We got to protect the homeland and everything else. It's like I feel like I'm such a contradiction, but he's like, you know what? Everybody is all a contradiction. You can be all of the above and it'd be perfectly fine. And we got such an interesting contradiction. So, but yeah, that's what I like to. Those are the things I like. Food too, as well. Um, there's a lot. Um, yeah, sometimes lately I try to get out of my comfort zone a little bit, but that's something my girlfriend kind of does a lot. She's more the risk taker than I am. So I never was into sports when I was younger. I was not good at sports. I was a skinny guy, skinny kid, but I just never was into that. But starting in my 40s, after I back on my own back in 2019, I started to get into it. I've been into working out and weightlifting before periodically, but now it's like a totally different thing. And I just find it relaxing. I think about sometimes I think about really good things or funny jokes and corny humor that I have right when I'm doing my sports and my workouts and my paddleboarding and windsurfing and everything else. So it's kind of relaxing. So it's kind of what I'm about. I like movies. I like listening to music. 1980s rock, new wave, some new wave music, new age a little bit. I like some salsa bachata sometimes listening to. I like its upbeatness about it. I love house progressive music. Um, Movies and films, all the above, comedies, historical, action. I like movies about alternative historical fiction. I can't wait for the next season of The Handmaid's Tale to come out. And you're probably thinking, oh, that's a woke show. But any liberals out there, Handmaid's Tale is not ultra conservatism, full stop. You listen carefully to the dialogue. I'll debate anybody any day, any time on that shit. So, so I like that, the shows that show alternative historical fiction. Like, what if this group came to power? A lot of good films and a good series over the decades about that. So that's about me. And you look tired and bleary-eyed, and I'm tired too. I'm not gonna lie, it's all good.
Yeah. No, it sounds great. I think we like things that a lot of normal people like.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, yeah. So where can people find your work, your articles, your videos, interviews? Tell us, please.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Um, I think you can Google my name, JP Villasmil, or Juan Pablo Villasmil. I didn't realize that there's like my whole ass name in here. Normally when I go on an interview, I just put JP Villasmil, but this is like Skype, and I just like joined in and didn't pay attention to my name. But I wouldn't put the whole thing. I don't know why the whole thing is there. I think it's because this is like a Skype that I haven't used in like 5 years because I got locked out from my other account. But you can find me on Twitter at realjpvillasmil, Villasmil, and on Instagram jpvillasmil, Villasmil. Um, I'm trying to start something. I'm trying to maybe start like recording stuff myself, but mostly of what I've been doing has been contributing at a bunch of places. I've written for Foreign Policy Magazine. Of course, I work at The Spectator. I contributed to the Wall Street Journal's Snapchat show. I've written for lots, Washington Examiner, USA Today. So you can find lots of articles out there if you Google my name. But I post most of these things on Twitter. So go follow me. I'm trying to grow on my Twitter because I started Twitter super late after Elon Musk took over. So yeah, I really enjoy doing this, and I actually have been starting to move in this direction because I have, not to like not to like pat myself in the back too much, but I have like lots of like mainstream media stuff, but I don't have enough social media stuff, which is like it sounds weird because I'm a Zoomer, right? I'm a young person, but I started the other way around. I started doing the TV hits and not the interviews with the podcast. I started writing for the magazines and not for my Substack. And I think actually that was not very strategic of me because the way to grow is an organic social media. Because people will watch you on TV, but they won't remember you. I think I can be memorable, but not that memorable.
Yeah, you're pretty memorable. I think one of the things, I tend to be very, either could be a criticism or not a big deal. It depends on the audience and who you're trying to reach. I tend to be very long-winded at times. I defend myself by saying these are complex issues. You, at times, could be, very elaborative too as well, because this is a long-form interview like with Connor. But on the other hand, one skill that you have, and I think for you to be truly effective, and I've seen you like with Jank and other hosts and other shows, is you go boom, 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 bullet points, you're humorous about it, and that's how, and you also pepper it in with facts. And you attract a guy like me. Connor saw you, other people have seen you. That's how you attract people. Everybody's got their different purpose, their skill set. That's what I see in you. And that appeals to younger people or middle-aged people like me. I can't believe I said that. I don't look at myself as middle-aged. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound like what's the Spanish word? Creyendo. I think is the very arrogant. No, but but the point being is I think that's where you had to shrink. And by the way, how did you get picked for the Jet Show for the Young Turks? How did they find you?
Oh, this is funny. So this is actually what people don't know. So I've debated Dr. Richie before, who is who's also the Young Turks. But again, he's not Cenk. He's not like the main guy. Cenk is, the big guy there. And I debated him a couple of times, and like, of course, his audience hated me because Dr. Richie talks about like really controversial issues, and his audience is, composed of like very progressive folks and also a lot of black progressive folks. So he would make me talk about like racial issues and lots of people won't take those opportunities because they don't want to get in trouble, but I would take them and I would just say like what I believe. And I tell them like, hey, I think you're like over racializing things. I think you're talking about like Nazis all the time and like uh the evil white people, and I think that we have other things going on in this country, um, which his audience didn't appreciate, I guess. And one of my friends told me, hey, Cenk is tweeting that he wants to debate MAGA people. And he said, email me if you want to debate me. And I emailed him and I said, hey, I'm JP. I've debated your fellow TYT person. I've done this, and that. I'm studying here. I'm a fellow here and there, whatever. I would love to join you. And the producers already knew me, and they picked me. And to be honest, I think they picked me because they thought that I was young and he could destroy me. And I think people are saying that didn't happen. So
You held your own pretty well, actually. And whether I agreed with aspects of what you said or not, I thought you and I think that other gentleman, I don't remember his name, both of you were the best. And I'm not talking about Mr. Pillow. Mike Lindell. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad communicator, but I think you and there was another gentleman who agreed a lot with Cenk on issues. I think both of you were the best. My view on Cenk, I watch Young Turks often. There is alignment on issues on campaign finance and lobbying. I'm very much hardcore in Cenk's camp in that way, both for practical reasons, but also national security reasons, and to bring in a new elite of people that are bright and well motivated and not just motivated by money and party loyalty. And I like he is a capitalist, or so he claims, his belief in what he terms democratic capitalism. That's what he termed. So I appreciate that he's not a raging outright socialist. Where I disagree with his foreign policy, I think there's still too much to the left on foreign policy. And I think the progressives need to be much more hardcore in renouncing Islamist and communist and other anti-American totalitarian regimes. And that's a big stumbling block. And, I think, some of the other cultural issues I don't put a lot of stress on, because I think we need to unify people of all goodwill on common issues of concerns, and they tend to focus in on that at times too. But I think you did a great job overall. I think you were entertaining, and I would like to see the opportunities for coalitioning with people. That's kind of my purpose of my political project. Yes, I would like to generate income from these activities that I love doing, that I have a passion for. But at the same time, I also want to do my part as a little worker bee or cog in the machine to affect change too as well, and to network with people. And then people like you or whatever say, okay, Nevin, you got your strengths, you got your weaknesses, I'm going to utilize your strengths for a greater good. That's basically laying it bare, my motivations. I don't care about saying this publicly on a public forum like this. So I don't think they're not noble, or unreasonable. So, that's why I want to kind of network you. I try to network you with Connor and perhaps maybe some other people, because I think we all have to stick together. Yes, we can compete and we want to do well for ourselves, but we also have to help each other too as well, because we got a greater cause, a greater goal to pursue. And that's my take on things, if you will.
Yeah, I agree.
Alrighty, well, I appreciate the discussion. I know it was a lot longer than I think both of us anticipated, but I think it was good. I think we got a lot on the table. I definitely would like to, if you're open, we can talk more about Trump, the positives, the negatives, maybe talk about his administration, whatever you're comfortable with. And, we'll go from there.
Yeah. Nevin, again, it's awesome to talk to you. Really smart guy, really smart guy. Many are saying. I'm doing some Trumpisms, by the way. When I do that voice, I can't do the Trump voice. So that's my attempt. Yeah, I would love to talk to you soon. We didn't dive into a lot of the Trump stuff, which I guess it's common by now. People want to talk about Trump, but then we talk about other things too. And then we get derailed on the bigger topics and the things that matter most. But I think a lot of our conversation, for the people that have some knowledge, connects with Trump, maybe without naming him. Conversations about foreign policy, or conversation about domestic issues, about the role of the state, and so on. So I love to talk to you again soon. Uh, maybe we could talk about what a future Trump administration could look like, what it should look like, or any other topic. Again, thank you for the talk.
Yeah, thank you again. It was a pleasure talking with you. It really gives me hope that we have a lot of young people who are who espouse a more healthy, quote unquote, populism, but still within a capitalist framework. That's very important. And a healthy civic nationalism. I think that's great. We have a lot in common. And I just want to develop alliances. You know, I learn from people. There are people I learn from across the spectrum within a healthy, small d democratic or small l liberal framework. So thank you again, and we'll be in touch. And we'll have to schedule a show about, future Trump administration. I think that'll be excellent.
All righty. Take care, man. Hope you have a good one.
Alrighty, so I'm going to stop recording. Alrighty, God bless everyone. Just let's, whatever our disagreements or agreements with the incoming administration, everyone, let's try and stay positive. Fight the president on policies that him and his administration hurt the country. But if they're proposing policies within radical civic nationalist framework or pro-worker, pro-business, or pro-strong national defense, then we have to have the president's back on that. We have to be objective and not hyper-partisan. Thank you all. God bless everyone, and be safe.